She's
Demoted.
devoted.
All right, we're recording, guys. All right, good morning from Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Heritage here in Maggie Valley. This is our inaugural Realtor Roundtable talk. We're not quite sure what we're going to call these, but today we're talking about Realtor Reality, kind of what does it take to be in this business, and maybe some tips and tricks to be successful, and we'll kind of see where the conversation goes from there. I just want to do some quick introductions of our panel today. We've got Craig Messer, Jason Ravella, Jenny Mostedler, and I am Tom Millette. Just a little bit about me. Been in 20 years this year. Been in real estate 20 years this year. Started right here in Maggie Valley at Realtor World Heritage Realty, and we transitioned into Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Heritage 6 years ago. So it is amazing to me that I've been in this business for literally 2 decades. 2 decades. Craig, tell us about you just a bit.
Craig Messer. January 1st started my fifth year in real estate. I was raised in Haywood County, and I've been with Better Homes the whole time, and thankful for that. It's been a good journey so far.
And Jason?
I'm Jason Ravella. I've been in real estate a little over 3 years. I also am a licensed contractor. I've been here so a little bit parallel to real estate since 2000 in Haywood County, moved up here.
And how about you, Jenny?
Jenny Mosteller. Sorry, my camera doesn't work. I do look just like that this morning, though. So happy Friday. Born and raised in Haywood County, been a real estate agent with this team exclusively since, we'll just say a little bit over 3 years.
Awesome. So just a couple things. So we hear people all the time that, hey, I want to be a realtor. I want to get into real estate. What you guys do is so easy. I want to sell houses every month, make all kinds of money. And it's honestly, it's a total misconception. So I pulled some quick stats, and this was from National Association of Realtors. Realtors basically have a 75% failure rate, 75% failure rate. And about 50% of realtors make less than $50,000 a year. And that does not include the expenses that they have to pay, the taxes that they have to pay, yada, yada, yada. So it is not a profession that most people envision when they first get into it. 87% of realtors are independent contractors. I'm not sure the general public knows that we don't get paid by the hour. We do not hit the time clock when we come in every day. In fact, the three of you are not employed by us. You're independent contractors. You can come and go as you please, which can be the kiss of death sometimes in this business when we tell folks that you can come and go as you please. And 10 is the median number of transactions that most realtors do in a year. And Jason, what do I tell you if you tell me you're going to do one transaction per month? What
are you going to do the rest of the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you going to do the rest of the month? So I got a little note here from our quality control, and they said, Jenny, Jason, and Craig, you guys are kind of faint on your microphone, so maybe speak up just a little bit when you're.
I can fix that for sure.
Yeah, I know Craig can. I know Jason can too. Jenny, I'm not so sure.
I'll do my best.
Jenny looks frozen. I don't know if it'll work for her.
So yeah, 10 transactions is the average, and if you really think about it, gosh, if you're doing less than one a month, you're probably going to have a whole lot of free time on your hands, but we will talk about that in just a bit as well. So keeping it real, what you're not being told about being a realtor. I kind of want to get from you guys some of the things that you found out after you got into this business and was maybe a little bit of a surprise to you. So let's do ladies first. Jenny, go ahead. What was a surprise to you once you got into this business that maybe nobody told you?
Um, so when I got in, it was a little bit different for me. I still had another full-time job. I've been doing two jobs for like 9 years for some odd reason. But anyway, I'm full on force now. But when I got in, I don't know, like I love dealing with people. I love the public. I love like helping people and families and, making them happy. But there's all kinds of different personalities out there, all kinds. And I feel like that I totally give 100% to every single person. And I've had to learn a little bit over the years that giving 100% to everyone is absolutely what I'm always going to do. But sometimes it's not reciprocated. You know what I mean? Like either with the other agent and the communication that they give, like if I have the buyer or whatever, um just dealing with different personalities and just trying to explain things like the way North Carolina real estate works, the rules we have to follow, our moral ethical code, just trying to explain that to people and help them understand. Sometimes that is lost in translation somehow. So I've just learned over the years to do just maybe adjust how I represent the whole career or the job to my clients so that they understand that I'm really for them, um, and their best interests are at heart, but there's a process. There's a way that we have to do things.
And I mentioned that 75% failure rate, and Jenny just talked about some of those things, and she's being very polite with it. I think that we do have to deal with a lot of different personalities, which can make the job very, very, very draining, which probably leads into that 75% failure rate. So, Jason, when we talk about hours and time commitment, was it a surprise to you of how much you have to put into this business on a daily basis?
Yes. And I think speaking to the 75% failure rate, I think a lot of people, when they get in, don't realize how much you're not going to get paid for of this job. Like you have to keep going, and you keep putting it, so to speak, in the pipeline, because a lot of stuff's not going to work out for you. So, I mean, a lot of the people tell you 2 to 3%. So of contact, like you actually get paid for, or something to that effect, some kind of stat like that. And that is definitely a wake up call. And then, like you said, the hours, being present, being having touching points with people, keep reaching out, keep going. It sometimes feels like you're beating your head against the wall, but that's the job. I come from a similar job where you don't get paid on a regular basis. So for me, it wasn't that bad of a transition, but for a lot of people, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah. So to clarify that and just kind of bring it home, that you're an independent contractor, you don't punch a time clock, you don't get health insurance and benefits. Is that correct?
That's correct. 100%.
Correct.
And then a lot of the work that you do doesn't lead to a paycheck. Fair statement?
Fair.
Very
Very
fair.
fair.
Very fair.
Yeah. Yeah. So everybody's shaking their head. So I think everybody's agreeable to that. So, Jenny had said a couple things, and based on what Jason just said, Craig, tell us a little bit about the emotional roller coaster that goes on, not only on a daily basis, but, over the course of a quarter or a half a year or even a year.
Yeah, I think that's actually where I was going to go with probably what you don't expect is the emotions of it all, because there's so much, especially starting out. I mean, I think I'm an emotional person anyway. Um, and starting out, that's a hard thing to control. I think I've gotten better. Jason may not agree, but I stress over a lot and I take everything to heart, so it can be tough. Um, but you've got so much to keep up with right out the gate. You got to keep up with all this stuff. You've got all these people to juggle, all these attitudes to juggle, and sometimes people are just not very friendly. And they may say things to you or that leads you to believe certain things when it's not true. That can, set you spiraling. And then you've got once you start listing houses, you've got the stress of this house needs to sell for this person. Are we going to get it sold? And then, if it's not sold in a week, they're ticked because at this point in time, our market has changed. It's not everything's not selling that quick anymore. Um, but they still think it should be at the highest price. So you've got the stress of that. And then the stress of, like you said, not getting a constant paycheck is very stressful. I was lucky when I started out, or it would have been magnified 10 times. But my wife, we have two daughters now, but we just had one at the time. And so she was still working, bringing home a good paycheck. So I mean, we weren't really reliant on mine at that time. I mean, we could make it work with just hers, which was awesome. So everything I brought in was a bonus. But once we had our second child, she wanted to be stay at home. And I said, okay, let's do it. So it's a lot more stress because you have to make those deadlines. You have to make that car payment. You have to make that, you have to make it work. And September was September was 2 years without her having a job, and we've made it. So
Nice.
That could
Nice.
fall apart tomorrow, but so far, God's been good, and we've made it this far.
So staying off that emotional roller coaster can be very difficult. And one thing that I always talk to all of our agents, you guys have heard this before, was if you take that phone call and that offer that you thought was going to be accepted, all of a sudden just blows up and it just vanishes. You have to let it go. You have to just move on to next. And yeah, you can mourn it for about 5 minutes, but in this business, you have to have a very short memory with that stuff and you have to just let it go. But on the other side of that, if you close that $1 million, $2 million sale and you're feeling really good walking away from that closing, you did a great job for your clients and you got paid well for it, you got to let that go as well. Like you can't sit around and dwell on the bad things, and you can't sit around and dwell on the good things either. So trying to
Yeah.
keep that even keel is the best advice I can give to any person who thinks that they want to get into this business. And if you can't train yourself to do that, you're going to have a really hard time. And Craig alluded to it just a bit that when he first got in, he's an emotional person, that he struggled with the ups and downs. Go ahead, Craig.
So I've had deals that I really needed, and then you get a termination, or you have an offer submitted, we've agreed on everything, and then last minute, right before the other side signs, something changes. I mean, that is an extreme emotion, and that's very hard sometimes to stomach. And you have to, like you said, because if you don't, you're not going to make it. Um, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up with another deal anyway. I mean, these people are looking. They put in an offer on something, especially on the buy side. They put in an offer on this house because they like it, and they're moving here anyway, so they're going to buy. It just might change your timeline, which sometimes sucks because your car payments due. So I think that learning to tailor that is a big deal. And another thing that I've learned, another emotional thing, you have to be able to budget. It's very important. And that's another thing right out the gate. Like, you get these paychecks, and sometimes they're really nice paychecks. You've been working on it for 6 months, and you finally get a paycheck, and you think, oh man, I got a lot of money. But you might not get another check for another month, 2 months. So you have to budget that money And that all goes back, to emotions. Because if you're on this high and you want to go spend this money, you don't need to do that. You need to be smart with it. So, and that might have led into something else. I'm sorry if it did, but
Oh, no, no, no. Jenny, I was going to ask you, just in your time now, and you've been in what, 3 years in
Yeah,
real estate?
a little bit over. Yeah.
I'm putting you on the spot a little bit with this question, but market forces. Talk to us a little bit about, just in the short time that you've been in real estate, the different market forces you've seen from day one through where we're at right now.
Oh yeah, it's been quite the roller coaster. You know, hitting the ground running, and then COVID, kind of being the initial, I guess, roller coaster that we had to ride as far as when I got in, was quite nuts. I mean, I actually didn't even get to finish my course in person. I started the real estate course in Asheville over there, and it was kind of fun. It was interactive. It made you pay attention. We had a really good instructor, and I think that we only got to go maybe 3 weeks, like twice a week for 3 weeks, and then bam. And it wasn't just, oh, by the way, we'll do it on Zoom. Zoom wasn't even really a thing at that point as far as for something like that, right? So we had to immediately, kind of pause everything. So my brain just kind of shifted to, oh, well, I guess I'm just going to, sit here and wait a little bit. Just like, I think the whole world went on pause for a little bit. Right. So I didn't have the class or instructor or anything for a solid month. I think it was, until they kind of got it up and running that, yeah, we can do virtual. And that, that type of learning is something you have to learn to do, and it's not easy. So anyway, fast forward, made it through, whatever. I think that in that big boom, and I'll say it was a boom where we live because it was insane. I mean, I think it was quite interesting everywhere, in the US, but it was just kind of, even if you, hate to say it like this, but even if you weren't that good of a real estate agent, you could probably land some deals like that,
Right. Right.
and that, I'm not that kind of person. I feel like if you work hard, you get rewarded. And you, as a looking at others in the industry, you're like, what? you know, um, I think it all pans out because, you got to hustle every day, and the market is going to be what it's going to be. And you can't control that. You have nothing, no matter how hard you work or how uneducated you may be or educated, you got to roll with it. So, seeing an up and then seeing kind of a down pretty drastic. I think only the strong survive, and you got to hustle. And, we work for ourselves. So like Craig said, I mean, if you want to pay your mortgage, you better work every single day. And it doesn't matter that you don't have a boss, quote unquote. you know, um, so as far as the shift in the market, yeah, it's up and down. It's all over the place. But as far as real estate's concerned, in my opinion, as a career choice, if you're not a hustler and you don't take it to heart every single day, you're probably not going to make it.
Well, and we talk about, you wake up and unemployed every day.
Yep,
Every single day you
absolutely.
wake up unemployed as a realtor, and you have to make something happen. You have to find business every single day, and you have to have what you just said, to get up and go to be able to do that.
Yep.
So Craig said something about, he was talking about listing that house and it doesn't sell, and then the seller's on you, that kind of thing. It kind of goes back into the market forces a little bit. I remember when I first got into real estate in 2004, it was a pretty good market, but the days on market, I think the average days on market was well over 130 days. So we were doing 6-month listing agreements, not because we wanted to do a 6-month listing agreement. It was taking that long to sell that house in general. So those are things that we cannot control. We definitely are maybe leaning towards that. Our days in market has definitely gone up since the days of COVID that Jenny talked about. Um, so, but we can't control those things, and all we can control is what we do every day. And like we said, get up and go and just make something happen. I do want to shift into a typical day a little bit. I'm going to start with Jason, but before I do that, I just want to make sure we kind of just hit some of the highlights. So hours are unstable, emotional roller coaster, inconsistent cash flow, uncontrollable market forces. Makes it sound like this is a terrible profession, but it is not. It is not because a lot of that stuff that I just outlined, we can control some of that. And we can provide some balance in our lives, and we can provide a good income in our lives by doing pretty much what I call the daily grind. So Jason, tell me, what does your typical day look like as a realtor?
My typical day looks like, hopefully, so I get up in the morning, first thing, I try to make it into the office. And what I'll do is I will go over everything that I'll pull up the quote unquote the hot sheet or the MLS sheet and go through all the listings that I've had. And hopefully I have some there that I can send to buyers that I do have and let them know, hey, have you seen this kind of thing? Some touching points there. And then I'll also make sure my paperwork on anything I'm working on is kind of try to make sure that's tightened up that day too, to make sure that going forward the files that way. I have found for me mentally getting ahead of things in this business is all helps a ton
So
because then
you're saying there's paperwork in this business? Is that what you're saying?
there's a little bit of paperwork, quite a bit. And if you let it, and if you don't let it go, it'll bury you. So staying on top of it's a real key, I believe. At least from the way I work. And then what I'll try to do is schedule anything that I have showing wise to be after that little bit of morning period. So I can get the other stuff done in the morning, and then I'll launch into doing showings if I have some, inspections, whatever else is on the plate for that, what I have going later in the afternoon. And then what I'll try to do in the afternoon is also have a second kind of period of touching points where I'll go back through and see what's come to market that day and send stuff out to clients that again, if I can, if something else has come up, and then trying to reach out with a few phone calls too and stay on top of people and see if there's anything, because it's that consistency, I think, that really works for me.
So tell me how you typically end your day. Like yesterday, as an example, what were you doing at the end of your day?
At the end of my day yesterday, the
Yeah.
last, let's see, what was I doing at the end of the day? The
Might
end
have
of the day,
involved, it might have involved a soccer ball, right?
yeah. So the end of the day, I was coaching at the very end of the day. Um, so I do coach a little bit also, back to it. I've coached a lot of years here. Um, and that actually can help in this business because, I talked to probably 15 or 20 parents yesterday at the end for a parent meeting. So that was fun.
But in my point there is you have time.
Yes,
With your structured schedule, you have time to have me time, to have some balance in your life.
absolutely. But I have to schedule. I do think you need to schedule it, like in time blocking.
Time
Oh,
blocking,
come on
yes.
now.
You get a star for the day. Craig, tell us, kind of the same question, typical day, but maybe something you're doing different than what Jason is doing.
Um,
You've been doing a lot of social media lately.
a
Maybe touch
lot.
on that.
So I've really focused this year on marketing, and marketing myself. I'm trying to post a video every single day, and I've pretty much done it. So I've got every social media account there is. They're all connected. They're all supposed to work together. Now, if that's actually doing that, I don't know. But I go and I post the same thing on every one of them. I need consistency on all of them. So I'll record a video. It's usually something random. Sometimes it's about real estate, sometimes it's not, but it's just about being out there and being seen. So I'll post it on personal Facebook, business Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. The list goes on. I've got a lot of places I post it. And I posted a video yesterday and it got, a lot of views. I mean, they really they do add up. And one cool thing about that is I posted a video on YouTube 2 weeks ago. This lady that goes to my church, who I'm not connected to on any social media account, she said, I saw your video on YouTube.
Oh,
And
cool.
so you can add location, and apparently that helps get it to, and I didn't realize this until she said that. It actually helps go to that county or that town that you put it in. So she saw it because I had put the location in there. I'm about convinced. Um, so that's something I focus on every day. I try to read some every day, and that's a little outside the box, I guess. But
What are you reading right now? What book are you reading
right
right
now, it's a book on negotiating. And what's it called? I can't remember the title.
now?
Negotiate like life depends
Never
on it.
split the never
Never
split
split
the
the
Never,
difference.
difference.
never split the difference. Whatever it is, it's good. It's just sometimes it's hard to find the time to read as much as I'd like. Because I do. So I will say, you Jason mentioned time blocking. You have preached that since I've been here, and I've never done it till this year. But it changes your whole day, honestly. Like you don't realize how much slips through the cracks until you start time blocking, and you write it all down, and your day is a lot more full. Like it's shocking how much more you can fit in a day, and how how much business you can actually do in a day if you set time for it. And I don't time block reading. Maybe I should throw it in there, and that would help me get some more done than
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I mean that's probably what he said. I try to do that stuff. I am a big believer in actual snail mail. So I take time, and I write letters. I'm not gonna tell you who to, because I don't want anybody stealing my stuff here. But yeah, I mean, pick an area, pick some friends, pick people. I mean, write them a letter. Everybody likes getting a letter when it's not a bill. So
Haha, true.
yeah.
So Jenny, Craig mentioned two kids. You've got two kids of your own. Tell us how you kind of balance what your typical, because there's nothing typical about most of our days, honestly. But how do you balance that, having two kids, two teenagers in the house, and still trying to conduct business?
Yeah. Well, like you said, unexpected. I didn't intend to have twins, so here we are. They're going to be 16 in 1 month. Um, and it's juggling. It's losing a lot of sleep, wondering and worrying or thinking about what's tomorrow. Oh crap, I didn't do that. I better put it on my list again for tomorrow. Um, and inevitably something falls. You think you replied to that text message. In your mind, you did. But then you look at your phone when you're laying in bed, and you're like, oh no. And now it's 11 o'clock, and it's not really respectful to reply to a text message, to a customer or another agent or whatever at 11 o'clock. But I set a reminder and I'll do it first thing the next morning. It's really just trying to figure out a good balance, because I think it's important for all of us as individuals to, have family time, work our butts off, get a paycheck, go on vacation, enjoy nature, but a balance is tough. And with kids, and as they grow up, younger they're tough, older they're tough. You guys all have them. We're all we're all in that boat or whatever. But I hate to even say the word, but I think Tom needs the tattoo on his chest, time blocking or something. Uh,
Forehead.
your head, yeah. That's important. It really is. We can call it whatever we want, organizing or whatever, but time blocking is important, because you really do have to make time for personal things and things that make you happy. And, going to church or hanging out with friends or cooking dinner for your dad, and being there for your kids. But there's stress involved when you step out of the quote unquote office, because you're like, uh-oh, I didn't get this done today. Now I remember I better do it, so you put it on your list again and you get up and do it again.
Well, and I think that's a good point, that even though you didn't get it done as part of your day, say your work day, and you've moved into family mode, that phone is still ringing. Those
Yep.
text messages are still coming in. Those notifications are still coming in. People are still asking you questions. And yes, you can set some limits on that, but we are expected to be available 24/7 for some people.
Yeah.
We definitely have to set some parameters on that. But for the most part, we need to be on at almost all times. I had a dad ask me at a soccer game last weekend. He said, so do you work the weekends? And I laughed. I literally,
Exactly.
so I laughed out loud. I said, I'm a realtor. I work all the time.
Yep.
And he goes, oh, so is that what you're doing right now? Because I was on my phone. I'm like, yeah, I was just answering a offer, you know, at halftime at the soccer game. So it never ends, and that's not a bad thing. That's how our business flows, and this is the profession we chose to do, and people demand service, and we have to provide that to them. I wanted to say one other thing about the time blocking, and thank you guys all for mentioning
Oh
that.
yeah.
My
We're
day
getting
today.
gold stars today.
Yes, everybody gets a gold star, but even with that, like last night, I tell you what, I say last night, it was probably about 4 this morning. I woke up and I was like, oh gosh, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. Um, and these are things that I probably should have written down, but I didn't. And to Craig's point, he said it. I think you said it frees or it calms your day. I'm not sure exactly how you said it, but it actually calms your life. Like it's life changing, because you're not going to bed at night thinking about all the things you got to do. And talking about secrets, I'll give one secret on here, and it's really not a secret, but when we talk about time blocking and scheduling a day, if I ask all three of you, where am I Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 12 o'clock, do you guys know where I'm at?
CrossFit.
CrossFit.
Working out.
And that's to the point. We schedule everything. And if I have to have lunch with, a client or lunch with my wife, I'm going to schedule that, because it's part of my day, and it's that assures that I'm going to do it. So, all right, I want to move on a little bit. I want to talk about um, what do you know now, and we'll just keep these kind of short and sweet. But what do you know now, that you wish somebody had told you before you got into business? We might have answered this a little bit, but I just want to circle back to that. What do you know now that you wish you had known when you got into business? I'm going to start with you, Jenny.
It's pretty easy for me. And it kind of goes back to everything we just talked about. I want everyone to have 100% of me 100% of the time. I want to fix the problem. I want to get to the finish line. I get a little bit upset with myself if I can't make it happen, or, and there's only one of me, and I think maybe God gave me twins and two dogs and whatever because I can multitask. But sometimes I feel like, I've had to learn kind of the hard way that it's literally not physically, emotionally possible to give every single person that wants a piece of you every single piece of you. You just can't do it. And you do kind of have to be strategic in, going to work every day, but making sure you're giving everyone what they need, but you just physically can't give them everything of you all the time. It's not possible. No one can do that, right? And I've learned kind of the hard way that I've had to adjust in this business. I've had to adjust a little bit of my personality or whatever my traits when it comes to that, because there's only so many hours in the day.
Awesome. Jason.
That's a good question. I think for me, it would be the biggest. I don't know if it's the biggest thing I wish somebody would have told me, but it's the biggest thing I've learned. A little bit off of what Jenny said, but control what you can control.
Yeah.
Like, you can't sweat the things in this business that you have no control over. A lot of times you don't have any control over what buyers want to do, sellers want to do. You can only control what you can control, if that makes sense. If you kind of understand where I'm coming from. for instance, like, if a seller, you get a really good offer that comes in, you feel like, and, sometimes they won't take that offer. You can't let that affect you going forward with anything else. Cause then, it can just pile on you a little bit. So that's I think, biggest thing. I don't know if I wish somebody would have told me at the beginning. Cause I don't think in the beginning you would really know, you don't really know what you don't
Exactly.
know at that point. So
Exactly.
it's hard to get that kind of, I think that's more of a little bit down the road advice, but, so didn't really answer the question, I think, with the beginning of what I wish somebody would have told me, but I will say you're never off. That whole thing you just mentioned on time block, like we're never. That's probably one of the biggest eye opening things is you're just never off, and if your personality can't handle that, it might not be for you.
Craig, what do you got?
This is kind of tough. I like Jason's answer. I need to implement that in my life. I think that would help a little more. But I think ultimately don't let the highs be too high and the lows be too low. Um, because they can be. Like, I mean, the handling the emotions is just a huge part of it all, really. And you're gonna be on some real big highs in this business, and they can come crashing down real quick. So you have to just be able to move forward. Life comes at you fast. Um, I was going to throw a movie quote in there, but I'm not going to. Um, but you got to just move forward, or you get lost in the shuffle. So business doesn't stop because you had a bad day. Your clients still need service. Um, you still have to be on it. Like they said, you have to be on it, and you have to move forward, and you have to be available to those folks still.
So shifting a little bit here to, you know, folks who maybe just got into the business or looking to get into the business, uh, maybe some advice you guys can, provide to them, the things that we've talked about, the things you've learned now that you've been in the business for a while, um, like cash flow. Like you can't get into this business, right, with no cash in the bank. It's a pretty low threshold of a business to start. If you think about it, you're a small business owner when you become a realtor or a real estate agent. Um, but to really get into it, you do have to have some cash in the bank in order to carry you. I think it was Craig that mentioned that, gosh, you could go 2 to 6 months without getting paid, and that can be quite difficult, especially at the beginning. Um, I mean, maybe you should be looking at strong training programs, companies that have good tools and services and agent support. What would you guys, if you're talking to an agent or a prospective agent realtor face to face, what's your best advice? I'll start with you, Jenny.
So if I'm face to face with what? Say that one more time.
Yes, a prospective realtor, somebody who wants to go into this business or somebody who has just gotten into the business. What advice would you be providing them to make sure that they're going to be successful in this business?
I definitely get involved in real life training, like, going through the courses and taking the exams and all that. It's mandatory, it's needed, we got to do it. It's accreditation, it's a license, it's a lot of legal things, it's very important. But if you really want to do this business, maybe even shadow someone before you decide to go to real estate school, because it's
Yes.
a course, it teaches you, there's a test, you learn, you pass all the things. But you you gotta really, it's not easy. I think that there's a misconception that real estate is easy and we just get these paychecks and they just come in and we're, millionaires and we drive fancy cars and we have, it's hard work. It's hard work. And if you're not willing to work hard as an individual, then you're probably gonna need to choose a different career. Because you are one of many, and you got to be independent in, hustling every day. And if that's just kind of not your personality, you probably won't you probably won't make it long. So be sure it's what you want to do and get real life training from someone that's seasoned in the business, and or even someone that's been in a couple years, and follow them around, ask them questions. And then once you choose your firm, make sure you have a good training program, which we have an amazing one here because of Tom Millette.
Oh, thank you. Shameless plug. Thank you.
It's true, though. It's very true.
Jason, I know you like to look at the stats every day. And, as of yesterday, how many homes were on the market in Haywood County, residential properties?
Oh, I don't know about yet. I actually don't know the number for yesterday. I believe last week though was around 189, but I could be off with it.
Yeah, I think we were about 179 when I looked the other day.
So we've lost a few since a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So and here's the number that I know you watched a little bit more. How many realtors are in Haywood County in general?
345.
Okay. So you guys do the math. And we talk about selling all these homes right now, especially with low inventory. It's tough. And to Jenny's point, we're not the only ones. There's a lot of us out there, and that's 345 in the Haywood County area. We mix in our whole realtor association. We have over 17,000 from here to Charlotte. So yeah, there's a lot of competition. So Jason, kind of what do you think your advice would be to somebody getting into the business?
I think I would definitely find a place that will onboarding is important when you go to a company. We have a lot of tools, a lot of technology. I will say if you're afraid of technology, it might not be the business for you, especially with where it's going in the future. I think that you really don't expect overnight success. If you think you're walking into this, and I mean, because look, typical day to day, hey, I get fortunate enough to get something under contract today. I'm not getting that paycheck 4 to 6 weeks more than likely. So if you're starting out, I mean, you got to really be prepared for that kind of ramp up time. And I don't think most people are prepared for that. So while you talk about startup business costs being relatively inexpensive, it is as far as realtor fees and all that stuff. But then you should probably have a few months laid away to live off of until you start and include that in your startup costs. So that would be my biggest advice, I think.
What do you got, Craig?
First thing I tell people is that when I started in real estate, January 1st, 2020, I didn't get a paycheck till first week of May. That's a long time to go without a check. And now I had 2 close in May, and I was high on the hog then. Boy, I felt like I had made it at that point. But I'd had a house, I could tell stories all day about this, but I'd had a house that I should have got paid. I would have got paid about March, and it fell through. So, I experienced a low real quick. And then I got through, and I got 2 paychecks in May. That's a long time period not to get paid. Now, like I said earlier, my wife had a good job at the time, and still could have that job if things needed to be, I guess, but I'm not relying on that. But you got to have money to survive. So you if you're going to get in real estate, you need to have a couple months laid away to survive for sure. And then I think that when you are starting out, you have no idea where you want to go. You need to go talk to at least 3 different brokerages, get an idea, get a feel of what they offer, because they're all different. I did 3 different ones, and the choice was absolutely, it wasn't even close. I'll be honest with you. It was not close. But it may not be right for everybody. But I think that, not only the onboarding stuff is important, you need a broker that's going to be with you through the process as you learn and you grow, because there's things, in year 5 that I don't know. It's not all the beginning. It's the process and the journey as well. And that support is important, I think, as you grow in the business.
Yeah, I mean, I'll add a little bit to that. I used to go and talk to the real estate class in Asheville when they allowed us to come in to do that, and then COVID kind of shut that down. And one of the things I always told students in those classes was really watch out for the shiny penny, because there's a lot of companies out there, there's a lot of models out there, and everybody's going to wave that shiny penny to you and tell you we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And unfortunately, this is a sales business. That's their job, is to sell, what they have. So you really have to look at what do they really have, and are agents successful, and are they making money, and are they staying there? And if it's a revolving door, then that should be a red flag to you that shiny penny is not going to be that shiny after a few months. So anyway, we're going a little longer than I had anticipated, so I kind of want to wrap this up. And as I already stated, this can sound like a drag. This company can sound like or this profession can sound like a big drag, and it's not. It's a great profession. It can be really financially rewarding. So I kind of want to end on, here's the question: what has been your proudest moment in real estate since you've got into the business? And Craig, I'll start with you.
Um, Probably my proudest moment is anytime a former client comes back to me to do business.
Nice.
Or I guess sends a referral is great as well. I'll take them all day long. But the fact that they actually, them personally, want to come back and work with me on something else, that's just a really good high. And that says that to me that I did something right out the gate. So
nice. Jason.
Yeah, I would say Craig's answer was fantastic with anytime a client comes back to you with work. Also, though, for me, I really get a enjoyment out of when there's a really difficult deal, which sounds weird, but being able to push through and find the solutions to get your clients what they need is really rewarding for me. Like, I feel like the easy ones, like anybody could do those kind of things. It's the harder ones that I really enjoy in a weird way. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've probably told Tom before I'm quitting like 4 times, so that might not be completely true. But at the end of the day, though, it is really rewarding because I feel like I brought something to the table that really helped. Being able to get your clients what they need and want is very rewarding.
Nice. Jenny.
Yeah, to go along with all that, I love the fact that when I'm helping a family or a couple or an individual, and they are already so emotional about this home, and there's ups and downs and inspections and financing and all the things, and then they're nervous and they're scared, but they're excited. And then we get there and then we get to give them the keys. And it literally gives me chill bumps to see that excitement and know that, wow, they trusted me. And a home is a big deal. It's a big deal to people to sell or buy, right? I mean, it's emotional. Most of the time there's a reason for it, a life change or whatever for the need to buy or sell. But I really love when people just have trusted me enough that I've been able to deliver what they've wanted, what they've wished for. It feels really good.
Nice. So hopefully we've ended on a positive note. Thank you guys very, very much. Like I said this is the first series of these that we're going to do. So I think it went, hopefully technology went or came across okay. And if you're listening, feel free to reach out to any one of us if you have questions about getting into this business, because as you can tell, we're going to be real and we're going to be honest with you of what it takes to be successful in this business long term, not a flash in the pan. And Jenny said it, COVID was easy. Was very easy for a lot of people, but that's not the reality of real estate these days. So again, thanks so much, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, guys.
I'll get my camera working, I promise.